Setting up the live stream. Let me share my screen. Okay, Pierre, I'm turning it over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Pierre Vital, and I'm the president of the Association of Haitian Professionals, AHP. On behalf of the association, I'd like to welcome all of you to this trademark workshop this evening. I have a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Keep yourself muted so as not to disturb the speaker. All the speakers will present their portion first, then we will open for questions, and you can submit your questions in the chat at any time. This will help time, and we can address all the questions that are similar together at the end.
Are the participants in? I don't see them. Jill.
Yeah, I think we can go in the wait room and try to get him in. Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me check. They should be in. Welcome. Chat. I see 20 people here.
I just admitted everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Pierre, you got to start over. Sorry.
Okay.
I know I didn't see them.
All right. Good evening. My name is Pierre Vital, and I'm the president of the Association of Haitian Professionals, AHP. On behalf of the association, I would like to welcome all of you to this trademark workshop this evening. I have a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Keep yourself muted so as not to disturb the speakers. All the speakers will present their portion first, then we will open for questions. You can submit your questions in the chat at any time. This way that will help save time at the end and address questions that are similar together. Our objective this evening is to talk about the value of trademark, the need to file one, and also to appease any fear of filing a trademark. I know a lot of people have fear of filing by themselves. We are fortunate to have with us an excellent panel of individuals who have interacted in some form or another with the trademark process. That will make for a great discussion this evening. So without further ado, let me introduce the panel. First, we have Helen Johnson. Over the past 25 years, Helen has established a distinguished career in the area of trademark law. She currently serves as an attorney advisor with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, USPTO, in the Office of Policy and International Affairs. Throughout her career, Helen has held a variety of roles, including examining trademark applications, managing a team of trademark examining attorneys, and conducting outreach events in both English and Spanish to educate entrepreneurs and innovators about trademark protection and the tools and resources that are available to them. Prior to joining the USPTO, Helen litigated as an assistant state attorney in West Palm Beach, Florida. She worked in a non-legal capacity as a regional account executive with American Express throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. Helen is originally from Mandeville, Jamaica, and proudly celebrates her Caribbean roots and heritage whenever she can. She is founding member, Education Committee co-chair, and vice president of the Caribbean Intellectual Property Association, CIPA, at the USPTO, a voluntary organization of USPTO employees who actively support the success, professional development, and well-being of its members, and also provides cultural programming that celebrates the noteworthy contributions of past and present individuals of Caribbean descent. She has been married to her husband and best friend Sydney for almost 28 years. They are proud parents of 2 sons. Helen holds a BA in Spanish from Furman University, a Juris Doctor from Nova Southeastern Shepherd Broad Law Center, and a Master's of Law, LLM, in international and comparative law with honors from Georgetown University Law School. Helen is speaking in her personal capacity and not as a representative of the USPTO tonight. Welcome, Helen. Next, I would introduce Legrand Lindor. He's an attorney, has an MBA, and is an entrepreneur and the founder of Caribbean Apparel. Drawing in his experience in corporate and government law, Legrand has established several successful businesses. He currently operates LMI Textile, a medical supply company which began with a garment factory in Haiti and now distribute to health system and commissions for international medical supply manufacturers in the North American market. During the panel, Legrand will discuss his successful defense against a trademark infringement claim brought by a well-known apparel company regarding his mark LG Apparel, the predecessor to Caribbean Apparel. Welcome, Legrand. And next, I would introduce Rose Estime. Rose is the founder and CEO of DreamX LLC, a US-based company focused on building scalable consumer brands and distribution networks. He is a visionary behind Paper Pam, a fast-growing brand specializing in paper products such as toilet paper, paper towels, and napkins, with a strong presence in retail and food service markets. With an entrepreneurial journey spanning Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the United States, Walls has developed a resilient business approach rooted in perseverance, innovation, and community impact. He is actively leading multiple ventures, including large-scale distribution initiatives and sports merchandising projects for the 2026 Soccer World Cup under Bios 4046 LLC. As a trademark holder and brand builder, Rose is passionate about helping entrepreneurs understand the importance of protecting their intellectual property while turning vision into sustainable business success. Welcome, Rose. At this time, I'd like to invite Helen to begin a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre, and good evening to everyone. Good evening also. It is a pleasure to be with my fellow panelists here. What I'm gonna do is I want to keep this as conversational as possible. What Pierre and I work at the PTO together. He's my co-chair. He mentioned the co-chair, all of that stuff about what I've done. It doesn't even come close to what I love to do, which is I really love to help people who are entrepreneurs or who are thinking about entrepreneurs be able to think about where they are and where they want to go and how to get there, and using intellectual property, especially trademarks, as a vehicle of getting to that next level. So every once in a while, I get a call from Pierre or a ping from Pierre, and he gives me some questions. And typically about trademarks, he's my patents guru, and I guess I'm his trademarks person. So I want to be able to keep the conversation going today. And what I'd like to do is to just answer some questions, some of the common questions that normally come up when you're thinking about a trademark. And the first thing, of course, is what is a trademark and what can serve as a trademark? So, the actual definition of a trademark is that a trademark can be any word, group of words, designs, or a combination of those, or really any device that you can use to do two things. Number one, it must identify you, the owner of the trademark, as the source of goods or services. And number two, it must also distinguish your goods and services from those of somebody else. What does that mean? Well, let's think about it. A lot of times people they talk about trademarks and they talk about brands. Are they the same? Well, in trademark land, we like to say that your trademark is like your face, the face of your business, what you present to the world. And if the trademark is the face, your brand is more like your reputation. Your brand is kind of the reputation that you have in the business community. It's more than just a trademark. A trademark can be a part of the brand, But the trademark is what allows your customers, present and future, to be able to recognize that you are the one who are bringing these particular products. So it could be t-shirts, it could be clothing, it could be jewelry, it could be cars. Those are products. Or it could be services. It could be coaching services. It could be accounting services. And the trademark has to do those two things, as I said. It has to identify you as the source. Now, remember, there's a difference between a trademark and a patent. A patent is when you invent, and I'm going to just keep it very simple, but when you invent and create something new, it's a new an innovation, it's something that's newly created. A trademark is not it's not something that you've created, but other people are maybe selling clothing. Other people may be selling t-shirts. Other people may be providing a retail store service. But you want your customers to know that these particular goods come from you, that you are the source. So remember, if it's identifying you as the source and distinguishing you from your competitors, that's a trademark. If it's something brand new that's never been done before, that's an invention. If it's literary content, if it's a book, a song, the content of that's going to be copyrights. So let's say you're an author of you write books. If you have a series of books, you can get a trademark. So let's think about maybe you've heard of the series of books, like Blank for Dummies, Plumbing for Dummies, or Accounting for Dummies. This series of books that actually helps people who aren't necessarily very knowledgeable about a particular topic, whatever it is, Blank for Dummies, that is the trademark. It lets you know that the source of this series of books is the For Dummies series. But the actual books themselves, the content of the books, what is written in the books, the actual wording, that is more copyright content. So trademarks, really, they're all around us. When we think about, I know they're definitely not lost on kids. My kids, I remember, well, I have young adults now, but when they were kids and we were driving in the car and they see that big yellow M, they knew that it was McDonald's. Now, you see the cows, the black and white cows on the sign. If they're hungry, kids don't even know how to spell, but they know that it's Chick-fil-A. So we see and we encounter trademarks in so much of what we do. For those of us who are into jewelry, if somebody says, "Boy, I'm going to buy you some jewelry," and you say, "You know what? I'd rather get the jewelry that's in that robin's egg blue box." Without even saying the word, you're going to know that that's Tiffany's. And I can tell you, I'd rather get something in that robin's egg blue box than in just a regular old cardboard box. Again, anything that you can use to distinguish your goods and services from someone else, that's your trademark. If you're thinking about, let's say, you're thinking about buying a lawnmower, and we say, what's that one, the yellow and green one? Without even saying the words, you're thinking John Deere. Those colors can also serve as a trademark. Let's say you want to have parcels, you want to have your parcel delivered. And you say, yeah, what's that brown company again? The people that wear brown? You're thinking UPS. So we encounter trademarks in so many different ways, so many different styles, so many different formats. A trademark can be a sound. A sound, for example, the roar of the lion, the MGM lion. When you go to the movies and you hear the roar of the lion, or if you hear you turn on the TV and you hear dun dun, that's Netflix. That's a trademark. So the word Netflix is a trademark, but the sound is trademarked. Why? Netflix isn't the only one that's putting on programming, but when you hear that dun-dun, you know that it's going to be specifically Netflix programming. So those are just some examples of what can function as a trademark, and but it has to be able to do those two things. So then the next thing that a question that I often get is, well, how do I know if I have a trademark? Well, you have a trademark. A trademark is not just getting some word, and nobody else can use that word. A trademark or a service mark, trademark goes with goods, service mark goes with services. They have to be used in connection with some products or services. So for example, the word Nike. Nike, when you think of Nike, you immediately think of the clothing. When you think of Just Do It, you think of the sneakers, you think of the clothing, you think of the apparel, you think of the sports equipment. It is tied to something. You cannot just have a word. You don't just register a trademark and say, well, I own this word. Nobody else can ever use that word or that design. So when you're thinking about your trademark, think about what it is that you want to be able to communicate to your potential clients and what you want to use to be able to say, hey, this is me. When you're looking for this particular product or this particular service, look for my brand, look for my trademark. And so you want to really think about how you want to present yourself in the marketplace when you're choosing your trademark. So you can be as creative as you.
You are muted, Ellen.
Thank you. Sorry about that. You can use a color scheme. You can use words, colors, designs, even a scent, a specific scent, but it has to be something that, again, indicates the source of the goods or services. It doesn't tell you what the goods or services are, but who is providing them. So the next thing, so when you think about trademarks, you want to associate them with your goods or service. What are you putting out in the marketplace? And who are your clients? Who are your customers? Who are the people that you want to be able to attract? How do you want them to know that it's you? Do you want them to remember the name? Such as you think about the Amazon, the word Amazon versus the little smile when you see the van. Those are all different trademarks. So what is it that you're providing? Are you providing a service for people? Are you doing an activity for others? Or are you providing a particular product out in the marketplace? You do want to choose something that is going to stand out. Don't choose a mark that describes what it is. So if you are, let's say you're going to be starting a coaching service, let's say, coaching for high school students in a particular sport. You don't want to call yourself high school coaching because that does not allow you to distinguish yourself in the marketplace. Yes, when people are looking up online, they're going to look for people who offer high school coaching services. But there are other people out there who are going to have mentoring services, coaching services. You need to have something that is going to actually distinguish you from them. So you have to add. So for example, Amazon, the word Amazon, Amazon defines a geographic region in South America. But when you're talking about delivery, online retail store services, you know what it is that you're getting from Amazon because they've chosen a word that they have now poured in through their marketing to be able to say, hey, if you're looking for online retail store services, go with Amazon, as opposed to a brick and mortar store like Walmart or Target. Each of those, they're all brands, but they all pour into their marketing something different. And that's what their clients will remember that and be able to go towards that. And that's what you want to be thinking about. Choose something that is going to allow you to stand out in the marketplace. Now, another question that comes up often is, do I need an attorney? Do I have to have an attorney to file a trademark? And the answer is no. Well, the answer is no, you're not required to have an attorney. You can file on your own. you can, on our website at the USPTO, and I'm actually going to send a handout. I apologize, I don't have it with me right now, but I will send a handout through Pierre to just give you some of the resources that you can look at on the USPTO's website. Our website is www.uspto, P as in patent, T as in trademark, O as in office, uspto.gov. When you go to uspto.gov, there's a wealth of information there. You can file, you must file online, you must file electronically, you cannot submit by paper. But there are also lots of different manuals and little videos that are there, and some tips that will help you understand how to file your trademark. Now, if you feel like you don't want to go through all of that, then you probably should consult with an attorney. It's always advisable to consult with someone who knows what it is that they're doing, but you're not required to file with an attorney. So what do you need to file? You need to have a mark. You need to have, in your application, we need to know who the owner is of the mark, and the owner is very important. Because if you file it in the name of the wrong person, then that application will be void and you will not get your money back. This happens sometimes with people who are, for example, in a group. Maybe they're partners, or they're in a band. Oftentimes, everything is wonderful at first. They file in the name of the band, but then all of a sudden, somebody get vexed with this one, somebody gets upset, and they split apart. And so who now owns the trademark? So it's really important that if you file it in, one person's name, that person owns the trademark. If you have a partner, you should file it in the name of both of the partners, because it is property. And so if something happens, you two decide to go a different way at some point in time, then you'd be able to treat that as you would any kind of property and figure out how to split it, who's going to take the trademark. But back to filing the application, you need to have the name of the owner, of course, an email address so that we can contact you. You need to also be able to state what your mark is. You have to provide a drawing of the mark. So if it's a word, you would provide the word. If it's a logo, or a logo plus a design plus the mark, you would have to provide a drawing that shows this is my mark and I will be using it for these goods or services. Now, the next thing is you also have to pay a filing fee. The filing fee is roughly $350 per class of goods or services. So what do I mean by that? We at the Patent and Trademark Office, we divide goods and services into one of 45 different classes. Anything you can think of fits in one of 45 classes. Some of them are goods, some of them are services. So let's say, for example, you're going to be doing a retail store, an online retail store, and you're going to be doing soaps. You make your own soaps and lotions. That's one class. Well, let's say class of goods. Well, let's say you also want to provide healthy drinks and vitamins or supplements. That's another class. So you pay by the different classes of goods or services that you're offering. So you do want to think about, first and foremost, if you're starting your business, what's going to be most important? Because you can start and file your application either when you're using the mark or before you start using the mark. That's another good thing with your trademark. You don't have to wait until you're using it to file your application. However, in order to get the registration, you must show that you're using the mark with those goods or services. Again, it is not about just getting a particular mark, ownership of a mark and a word or a sound or something, and nobody else can use it. You have to show that you're using it in the marketplace. Think about the term trade, commerce, mark. So you must be using your mark in trade in order to get a registration from the USPTO. Now, as we go through on the application, when you submit, you get all of these things together. That's the basic filing. Who's the owner? What is your mark? What are you using it for? What goods or services are you using it for? A way to contact you, and your filing fee. That is going to get you a filing date. Now, once the application comes into the office, it is going to be examined by an examining attorney. They are going to search the database, the USPTO's database, and see if there is someone else, another mark that has already been filed or registered that looks like yours, sounds like yours, or has a similar impression to yours. So in other words, don't run out and say, yep, I'm going to file an application for NIKE. Because guess what? Somebody else already has that. And you can't, and I mean, you can file it, but you're not going to get it registered. So you're going to waste your money. Again, remember, you want your mark to identify you uniquely. It needs to uniquely point to you. When somebody sees that mark, they should think of you and your services or your goods, not of your competitors. So when you're filing, make sure that in your application that you have that that clear mark identifies those goods or services, and it uniquely points to you. The examining attorney, as I mentioned, is going to examine. They're going to search our records, and they're going to see are there any marks that would be confusingly similar to yours. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, but just would it cause people to think that your mark and someone else's mark are coming from the same source? As I mentioned also a little bit earlier, you also don't want to file for a mark that describes what the goods are. So for example, well, there's some marks that suggest something about the marks, but they don't describe. You don't want to, let's think about, let's say you have you're working out and you need to put some of the menthol on your muscles. Icy Hot. That's one of the brands that's out there. Icy Hot. Okay. Icy Hot is a brand, but menthol is not. It wouldn't be a good brand because menthol tells you one of the ingredients in that rub. So you don't want to choose something that's an ingredient that describes something about it. When people are searching for something, they might search for menthol rubs. But again, there are other people out there who are making menthol rubs. So you can't name your product menthol rubs and think people are going to uniquely think about you. So you want to come up with something that is going to distinguish your menthol rub from somebody else's menthol rub. So if as the examining attorney examines the mark, and if they see in the database that your mark is fine, and there aren't any issues, there aren't any procedural issues, any problems with the application, then it is going to be published for what's called a 30-day period of opposition. And if no one opposes the mark, anyone in the world can oppose a mark. And if no one opposes the mark, then it moves towards a place of registration. As I mentioned before, in order to register your mark, you must provide a specimen, or you must you must be using the mark. And the way that you demonstrate that is you have to provide an example of how you're using the mark. That is known as a specimen. So that's another question that I often get is, well, what do I need to use as my specimen? Well, think about it. If it's clothing, if it's a product, the tags, the label on the product, that's where you tend to see the mark, the trademark. If it's a service, it would be advertising or a screenshot of your web page. So any type of advertising for a service. But the product would be anything that is a tag or a label that is affixed to the product, because that's how people are going to associate the mark with your product. Okay. So let's say, all right, you've sailed through, you've gone through, and you've gotten your trademark registration. What's next? Well, that's gonna be up to you. That's gonna be up to you as the entrepreneur and how you want to use that in your marketing strategy. But the good thing, some benefits about getting your trademark registered are the following. Number one, when you have a federal registration, you are the presumptive owner of that trademark throughout the entire US and all of the territories. It typically, trademarks are what we call territorial, meaning the rights only are as good in the authority. So for example, if you have some states have trademark rights. If you have a trademark right by using it in Texas, your rights are only good in Texas. But a federal registration means that you have protection. You are the presumptive owner of that trademark. If somebody tries to infringe, and you have to go to court on it, because you do have to enforce your mark sometimes. Sometimes people will test you in the marketplace. They'll see that you're doing a great job in building up your goodwill with your clients. They'll see that you're doing a great job in marketing and taking care of your clients, so you're getting that return. Some people will try and steal your brand. They'll try and infringe on the good work that you're doing. If you have to take them to court, having the federal registration gives you a leg up. It gives you the presumption that you are the rightful owner. The fact that it is registered in our database puts people on notice, because everyone and anyone can search the federal database and see that your trademark is registered or at least filed with the USPTO. Additionally, if you decide that you're going to, at some point in time, go abroad with your business, you're going to expand abroad. You can, the U.S. protection of your mark does not extend to other countries. However, there is a system that you can use your US-based registration as the basis for filing through what's called, it's an international treaty. It's called the Madrid Protocol. And you would do it through the USPTO. You can seek to use it as a basis to file in multiple countries at one time through this particular protocol. Again, this is information that is available on our USPTO website. I don't want to get too deep into that, but I do want you to know that there's a lot of information available for you on the USPTO website in how to do that, how to use trademarks to expand. And trust me, you definitely want to take advantage of this information, because it's free. The information that's provided to you by the USPTO is free and is plentiful. In many instances, they're videos. In many instances, they're handouts or just little summaries of information that can be helpful to you. So I'm going to pause for just a minute and see if there are any questions a few questions that we can take. That some of your questions might actually be answered by some of our entrepreneurs or other panelists. But I at least want, if there's a burning question that you have, I'd like to be able to answer that question now.
So Helen, quick question. How do I receive communication from the USPTO once I file a trademark? Because some people receive texts on their phone, or phone calls from individuals that have no association with the PTO. Is that something they should pay attention to, or something they should be careful with?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question, Pierre. The USPTO first of all, there is a lot of fraud going on across just in the world, period. And trademark registration is not a stranger to that. There are lots of people out there who are trying to steal and destroy your branding, and by impersonating, they're impersonating different businesses, they're impersonating the USPTO, they're impersonating your bank. And so the way that you will know that you're hearing from the USPTO is, first and foremost, when you file with the USPTO, you must create your own personal account with the USPTO. And then you have to verify that. You have to go through some steps to verify. So only you, one individual, can use that account. That's how you'll communicate with the USPTO. Once you've filed your application, the USPTO, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that you must have in your file, in your application, is you must have a working email address, because we will communicate with you through the email address. And the way that you'll know it's a USPTO is it always ends in .gov, G-O-V. If you see .com, that's not the USPTO. That's somebody trying to make money. That's a .com is a business. If it's USPTO that's the USPTO. So we will the other way that you can know is everything about a particular file is available online. So you can go and check the USPTO's website. Once you've filed, you get a unique filing number, an application number, and you can check the status of that particular application. You can see if the examining attorney has sent you an email, because every once in a while, our emails go to spam. But you should really use a good working email address. But you can see every correspondence that you've sent in or that has been sent out to you on this electronic file on the USPTO's website. We will never call you and tell you that you need to pay us money. We will not write you and tell you that well, actually, I've heard of some people getting a call within 7 days of filing. First of all, the USPTO, we have a whole lot more files than that. And so you're not going to be hearing from a trademark examining attorney for probably about 4 to 5 months, because we just have that many files that we're working through. So if somebody calls you within a week or 2 or 3 of filing and says, you need to pay me money to move your file forward, we will never call you over the phone and tell you that you need to pay us money. And that's just not how we work. We're going to communicate with you through the email address. Now, sometimes you can get a call from an examining attorney who will say, hey, there's something very simple in your application that needs to be fixed, but that examining attorney will never tell you that you need to pay money. We will never tell you that you have to pay money over the phone. We will communicate with you through your email address, and it will come from uspto.gov. So that's a really, really great question. Please be aware that there are fraudsters out there. Just like you can see, let's put it this way. Just like the fact that the USPTO website is publicly available, anyone can see every filing. Anyone can see, when a case was filed and who owns it, but so can you. So you can see and you can check if you get a call and you're not sure that it's the USPTO, just hang up, go to the website, use your filing application number, and check to see if there have been any communications. And you can call that way, or you can email the examining attorney that way. But the only time you'll hear from the USPTO via phone is when it's something very, very simple, and it will never be because you need to pay money.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Thanks for the valuable information and for sharing your experience with us. So at this time, I'd like to move on to Legon for your presentation.
Oh, excuse me, I was on mute. I'd like to say thank you to Attorney Johnson for her presentation. And I was saying that for her to keep me honest on some of the things I might say. So I'm LeGrand Lindor, founder of Caribbean Apparel, which was formerly called LG Apparel. And I started the brand when I was in law school many, many moons ago. And during that time, about 20 years ago, I was in law school, and that's when I started. And when we put out our application for our trademark, a well-known US company, Tommy Bahama, disputed our trademark. And I'll share my screen to show you what they disputed. But also as a caveat, there are also places where, so I went to University of Connecticut for law school, and there was an IP clinic, an intellectual property clinic. They are the ones that defended my mark and registered my mark for me, since I wasn't really well versed in the trademark area. So for those out there that are looking for places to help them or assist them, there may be law schools that have students and faculty that there to help you to register your mark. So I implore you to look at your different local law schools for assistance there. So when we registered our mark for LG Apparel, and I'll pull it up so you can see. Oh, it says only one presenter. Can't see. I can do that. All right. Share my screen here. So this is our brand now, Caribbean Apparel. I hope everyone can see the screen. And I'll get back to that, but our mark was LG Apparel. Hopefully you'll pull up here. Let's see. And currently it's a canceled mark because we didn't renew it because we ended up changing the name. But I want to show this as an example. So this is the mark here. Hope you all can see it, but LG Apparel. This tree here is actually from the Haitian flag in the middle of our palmies with the cannons. And so this was the part that Tommy Bahama came to dispute because in their logo, there's a palm tree as well. It was very interesting that they were coming after an unknown company, and Tommy Bahama being a very well-known brand at the time and currently. But because, we had great attorneys, student attorneys, and the faculty at UConn Law, we were able to win the dispute, and the mark was approved and awarded to us. And so LG Apparel, LGL are my initials, and Apparel, and then I had the Haitian palm tree here, but if you can see it here, this is the hat that's on top of the palm tree that we moved over to the last L there in my initials. So I just wanted to show that. And so for me, it was a very daunting task to get a lawsuit being sent to me in my name, or in my company name, LG Apparel LLC. And as Attorney Johnson talked about, it's important to know who you're registering and who's going to be the owner of that mark. As a business owner, you may want to, put it into a business name as opposed to an individual, because if someone's coming after you to maybe sue you or do some sort of litigation, they can come after your personal assets and things of that nature. So that's something that we want to be aware of in terms of when you're going for your mark. But when we started to operate as Caribbean Apparel in about 2000, I don't want to say maybe 12 or so, about 4 years later, there's two ways that, there's a federal registered mark, which you'll see people with the R in the circle, and then also the TM. So as here, whenever we use Caribbean Apparel, we add the TM here as like, I think it's called a common law mark, where it puts people on notice that I'm utilizing this mark in commerce and such. And so we use it in different areas. And so, in fact, Attorney Johnson, I would, ask you or Pierre, for Caribbean Apparel being a mark this way with one line and versus being two lines, are those two different marks that we would have to register if we were going for our federal registration? I can ask now or ask it later. But so that's one thing, Attorney Johnson.
When you were asking with one line versus two lines?
Yeah, so over here in the mark, I don't know if you can see my screen. There's we have a one line mark where it's Caribbean Apparel and then a TM, but then up here in the top left, we have
have it on two lines.
Yes.
Okay, so it depends. If
Okay.
you can file a mark as what's called a standard character mark. It just means letters. Standard character just means letters. And if all you put was, if when you file your application, if your application is just Caribbean apparel, just standard character, then you can put it on one line. Your specimen of use, the way you use it can be one line, two lines, up and down, diagonal. You have a wide variety.
Oh,
Now,
wonderful. That's
if you
great.
file it as a stylized mark, there's
Mhm.
a certain font, like think of Disney, the word Disney, or the way that Chick-fil-A or Coca-Cola, the way that Coca-Cola is written in script. If you file it and say that it is a stylized mark, then you get the protection as you have it stylized. So that is a really great question that you want to think about, is when you're filing your mark, do you want to have do you know how you're going to use it? Like, do you know how you're going to use it now, or do you want to have some flexibility? If you want to have flexibility, just put, and it's words, then just put it as standard character, just as you would type it on your keyboard. A great
Thank you.
question.
Thank you for that. And I have a follow-up on that. So our mark, as Attorney Johnson was explaining before, Caribbean apparel, it's a descriptive, so it's almost like American apparel, and very difficult to get a trademark on two words that are, out there in the English language that are descriptive, that, people wearing something that's a Caribbean apparel or so. So I recall when we were first going for this mark, many years ago, over 10 years now, that in the beginning they were saying it was going to be very hard for us to get a federal trademark because it was descriptive in nature of what we were doing. It's similar to, as Attorney Johnson was saying, with the example of the menthol and such, being that our apparel, our clothing is Caribbean themed and it's apparel. So that's something, I don't know if there's been any changes in that, but it's something that now, I'm having this conversation. I'm thinking about
Yeah.
maybe we should go for it again.
No, you can add something to it. Okay.
Okay.
You laid it out perfectly. Caribbean apparel tells you what it is. A trademark should tell you who provides it. So if you wanted to have Le Grand Caribbean apparel, you can add something to it. You can add a design to it. You can add some wording that is not descriptive, and that's your trademark.
Okay.
That
Okay.
would be a stronger trademark.
Okay. And one more question. So there's actually another brand that calls themselves One Caribbean Apparel. And I'm now wondering, should we go after them for having that in their name? We were first to use in the market and all that sort of stuff. But maybe I'll talk to you offline about that.
We can talk, but
Yes.
but for the benefit of the audience, when you use wording that is descriptive, this is a perfect example. When you use wording that describes something about your goods or services, other people who sell the same thing need to be able to use that wording. So you can't think that if you could go after them if you want to, but you're not going to be very successful, because it's communicating what. So really think about, for everyone, think about, what is your mark communicating? Is it communicating what it is, or is it communicating who is providing it? So you can have pieces of a mark that describe something about it, but that's not your real mark. You actually you would be required to have a disclaimer, which is, I do not reserve any exclusive right to using the word. You cannot get the word apparel trademarked, period. You must disclaim it, because everybody who sells apparel or has apparel must be able to use that wording. It's called a generic term. So you'd want to put something more that is going to do those two things I mentioned: point to the source, point to you as the source, and distinguish you from other people who sell or who are selling Caribbean apparel.
Thank you very much. And so in my experience with, having marks and doing other parts of our business, now we do a lot of things in medical supplies, the brand that you carry, the name of your company, the name of your clothing or apparel or the product that you're selling, obviously is very important so that the audience and your target markets are, you get a following from there, especially now in the social media age. So you obviously want to make sure that you're doing it right so that you can protect yourselves. As later on, if you grow, when your business grows and your product and or service grows, you want to really have that in good protection so that other folks aren't able to capitalize off of your success without compensating you for it. So, trademark is, a very valuable thing to have. And it's something that, we've experienced it in a long time, working with this brand, with our brand here. And like I said, in other parts of business as well. And, it's a testament of like the US market. And as Attorney Johnson mentioned, going outside and doing things internationally as well. There's so much that can be done with it. But that's our experience with it in terms of the apparel. So for us, we had to make sure when we had LG apparel that we used the logo on the garment itself. For Caribbean apparel here, we used our logo and the TM on the jackets when people are wearing the jackets. Let me see if I can go to one and see a photo where we're using it. Let's go to the Unity jacket. Let's go to Haiti. I think we embroider the logo onto the wrist of the jacket so that people can see it on the outside. We also have the label on the inside on the tag of it as well. I don't think we have any close-ups of that here. But I think that's another part that's very important so that people can be on notice that this is your particular design, your particular brand, so that it keeps in line with you as you're building your brand and your company, so that people are familiar with your quality. And if someone puts out a similar looking jacket, for our example here, that and they say something went wrong with it and they call us because they think it's our jacket, we can let them know, that it's not our jacket. And that goes a long way in terms of, you know, strengthening your brand and your product. So I appreciate the time, looking forward to questions, and I will maybe pass it on to the next presenter.
Yes, thank you, Luca, and sharing your experience on how to protect your trademark. Again, trademark is a very important aspect of IP portfolio, and then, yeah, protecting it is very important because you want to make sure you retain that you're not out there being sued or having a lot of issues with the trademark.
Absolutely.
Next, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was saying thank you. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So next we will introduce Wall, so you can go ahead with this portion.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Anthony Johnson and Legrand. We're talking about trademark, but the reality, we have paper palm, okay, that's my product and my trademark. So I'm very sorry because I don't speak very well English, but I speak more Spanish and French, but I will do the best I can. So if you don't own your name, you don't own your business. Good evening, everyone. My name is Wars Esteem, founder and CEO, Trademarks LLC, and the creator of Paper Palm Trademark. Paper Palm is not a product. It's a brand, a vision, and a legacy. When I start, I had a simple idea to sell product, toilet paper, paper towel, napkin. But very quickly, realized that something, if you don't protect your name, you don't have a business. You only have a product. That's when I made a decision, not just to sell, but to build something I own. and I invest in Paper Palm trademark. Let me give three things very important that can change your business forever. Number one, protection. If you don't secure your name, someone else will. Number two, value. People think they sell product. No, they sell brand. And the trademark is what gives you your business is real value. Number three, power. Trademark give you the legal power to grow up, to scale, to partner without fear. Let me be real. Many entrepreneurs are build business. They don't even own. They don't check the name. They don't protect. And one day someone else owns what you build. Don't let be your story. If your vision matters, protect. I come from Gonaive, Haiti, and nothing was easy. But I believe in one thing. People don't pay for effort. They pay for solution. Trademark is not expense. It is an investment in the future. Today, Paper Palm is growing in store and even in Walmart online with one decision to take my vision seriously. Because when you do, the world will take and seriously. Thank you.
And thank you, Wolf, for sharing those words of wisdom. And so at this point, I'd like to open up to the questions. Fabi,
Yeah.
any questions? Yes. Mhm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just wanted to let you know there are some questions on the chat. If you can give them precedence before anyone else on the floor, since they've been waiting before. Thank you.
That's what I was asking Fabi if she can start with the questions.
Yes. So the first question we have is there such a thing as poor man copyright? It was explained how to do it, but was not able to verify the information on the .gov site.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Say that
Is there
again.
such a thing as a what?
Is there such a thing as poor man copyright? The person said that they were told there's something called a poor man copyright, but they could not verify it on the .gov website.
Well, I'm not a copyright attorney, but I think what I understand that I've heard that before, and I think basically with a copyright, once you create your literary work, your artistic work, and you put the C in the circle, you've created a copyright. That's what I think is meant by a poor man's copyright. It is basically you're putting notice. You're giving people notice that you are treating this as your intellectual property, property that you created with your mind, and that you plan to protect it. You've heard our wonderful entrepreneurs talk today about how important it was for them when with Legrand, when somebody came for him to be able to protect it. The trademark or the copyright or the patent, intellectual property. I mean, well, let's put it this way: personal property, we will buy a lock to lock we have a key to lock our car because we don't want people to come in and steal it. We have a lock on our door of our house, so we don't want people to come in, so we will invest to lock up property that's tangible. Using these protections, intellectual property protections, is a way to protect what you create with your mind, what you create with your heart, what you create with your spirit, the vision, the legacy that Rolls just mentioned. You use these different protections to protect what you put into your business or your invention or your artistic work. So the poor man, when you say a poor man, I believe what they're talking about is rather than actually go through the process of registering it with the Copyright Office, you put it C on it with the circle, and that is sending a notice to people, to others, that you are treating this as your property. But even if you do that, and even if you register a trademark or a copyright, when someone comes for you, as they did with Legrand, you have to decide if it's worth it to you to defend it. You must understand the value of what it is that you are creating and the potential that you have, and decide how you want to protect it in terms of getting that right protected and reserved. But then also, if somebody comes for you, challenges you, how you want to protect it.
And if I may, on the converse, you want to have that as your weapon to attack someone if they're trying to utilize your copyright or so, if they're trying to copy your work. And I think that's probably the common law. Same thing with the trademark, putting people on notice with a small TM after your logo name or whatever it might be. And so that's I think, that the person was referring to as the poor man's copyright would be the common law, where you have some protection. It's not as strong as a federal copyright or the federally registered copyright or trademark, but it's something
Right.
that puts the world, as Attorney Johnson was saying, on notice that this is out there and we're utilizing it, and we're in the process possibly of protecting it, things of that nature.
Anthony Johnson, I have a question.
You're on mute, Rose.
Hello?
Mike.
Oh, okay.
We
Can you
can't
hear me
hear
now?
you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
When I start my business, like on Paper Palm, it was 2018. So I first in Haiti, but my brand is already registered in Haiti. So when I moved to DR, Dominican Republic, I registered Paper Palm also in Dominican Republic. But when I come to USA, and I did the same thing. So my question is, in case I start to USA, Paper Palm register to USA, if necessary to do the same process to Haiti or to Dominican Republic or each country, I said, because Paper Palm is the concept is big for me.
Yes.
Move Paper Palm and the
Yes.
road. So I have to move to register the Paper Palm to the other country, please.
Yes. The rights that you have in the US are valid in the US. The rights that you have in Haiti are only valid in Haiti. But the rights in other countries, they are what we call territorial rights. So the rights you have are just for the territory grants you the right. And let's be clear on what the right is. The right is that you are the owner of this mark. You are the one who has the right to use it to market your products. Okay. Uh, if you have to go into court and you're arguing about who has the right to be the owner, to be declared the owner, the fact that you have a federal registration in the US, that gives you the leg up in court. So just because I say that, because just because you register it doesn't mean that somebody will not try and infringe, or doesn't mean that someone won't try and use your mark without your consent. So you have to think about what markets do you want to go in, and make sure that you have the protection there, the legal protection there.
Okay, I have one question. So why US asked me this question? I think it was in the last question, the last step to have on the trademark. If I use the trademark in other country, what years I'm selling this product in the other country because they asked me this question. Why?
So in the US, in order to get a trademark registration, you must use the mark in what is called interstate commerce, meaning at least between two states or between the US and another country. It's a federal trademark. Federal law governs interstate commerce. Florida law governs commerce in Florida. Maryland law is only what happens in Maryland. Federal law is across the United States or between the United States and another country. Typically, we have that covered when we do things online. Okay, when you're doing things online and people are buying all over, interstate commerce is covered. So that might have been the reason if you said, well, I'm based here in Maryland, or I'm based in Virginia, but you didn't, let's say you didn't have the website up at the time, they would probably ask, well, have you used it between here and another country? Because that would qualify as interstate commerce. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much, Anthony
You're
Johnson.
welcome.
Can you share your?
Please, Helen is fine.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, can you share your number in
Helen.
case? Okay, and I need more information so I can contact you from Drymex LLC.
Absolutely.
So let me say something
Sure.
too.
No, I have to.
Yes, say. So if anyone want to try.
No, I was just going to say, I have to be careful. I have to just be clear that.
Okay, so if anyone need
No, go ahead, please.
sample paper palm product, they can text me or email the message and address information, and we can deliver for free. Don't have to pay nothing, because I will like my community, not only a Spanish community, but my Haitian people, my Jamaican people, all people try the paper palm, paper towel, and
Hey, Rose.
toilet paper palm, because talk
Rose.
is one thing, but use is a good thing too.
Well, thank you. So we gotta answer the other questions. So thank you.
No
At this
problem.
time, Fabi, go ahead.
Mr. President. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mhm.
Yes. So the next question is from Donaldi Salva. Hi, Helen. If I'm working full time, what is the best way to protect my idea from work?
Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by protect your idea from work? What kind of idea? Not specific, just what do you mean by your idea?
Donaldi,
Yes,
if
hi.
you're able to unmute, go ahead and do so, please.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Ellen. Thank you, everybody. This is a very interesting conversation. So I'm working full time, and I have a tech that I'm building, but it has to do with artificial intelligence. And I work as a technical support at my work. So in my work employment agreement, it says that everything that I think of, everything that I worked on, every my thought process, I improve anything, it belongs to them, even in my sleep. So I was working on the project on the weekend at night on my own computer, but to find out that they can own that everything that I worked on. So I take a pause. My advisor said, take a pause on everything. Don't work on anything now until you come to this meeting and speak with the people who knows what to do. So that's the question I want to know, because it was very distraughting for me. Like, you own my thoughts, even when I on the weekends at night. I you own it, but so that's why I wanted to know how to protect it. How do I make sure that I come up with, how do I register it the right way to protect what I'm working on and they don't own it?
That's a really good question. And I cannot give legal advice. I can tell you that that's a contractual question in large part, meaning you can agree by contract, which it sounds like you agreed to something. You can agree by contract to, you can discuss the terms of how much of what you do at work belongs to work. A lot of places actually have been, over the years, had been getting, in order to recruit people in your field, in technology, they were getting more creative, and they were negotiating more with people. And so that, you know, it's very clear, if you don't use the work computer, if you don't use the work resources, if you don't use work time, it's yours. But if it's something that you're using information from work, and you're building on it, and you're creating something, that sounds like it falls within you know, belonging to work. But it really depends on what is written in your contract. So I would say that it's probably better for you to speak with an attorney who deals with that kind of law, and in terms of contractual issue. But not everybody does that. Not every company does that. And it could be a little bit of a scare tactic to say, yeah, we own everything. They can't own every thought that you have. You know, but it sounds like they want to cover a lot of bases, because, you know, they're going to do what's right for them. The business is going to do what's right for them, because they don't want people coming in using their this and their that, using their resources, using their time, using all of this stuff for work, taking it and then going and leaving. So they're going to try to write something as broad as possible. What you have to think about, and you might be right, you might, you know, worst case scenario, you might have to say, you know what, I'm going to save on some of the things that I move to a next level. I'm going to hold off on that for right now until I find a new job, or renegotiate the contract, or something like that. But you do want to protect yourself. So sometimes timing is very important when you actually do it. Okay? So patience.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm reading your lips. I couldn't hear you.
Thank you. So the next question is from Shelly C. The question is, can I trademark a leadership framework? It's a book, but trying to protect the unique concept called the green light factor.
Okay, so the trademark, remember, it has to be related to goods or service. When you say it's a framework, if it's a book, if it's just one book, you cannot trademark the one book. That's copyright. The content of the book, the content of the training, that is going to be copyright. If you're going to have a series, then you can do the series, the trademark of the series. For example, Danielle Steele, you know, those love books. The name Danielle Steele, even though each book is a different copyrighted work, but the series is the trademark, because the source of those types of books is Danielle Steele. Robert Grisham books. That is a trademark. So you have to think at this stage, and that's the other thing is trademarks. We not just trademarks, but we always like to say that intellectual property is a bundle of rights. So you may be doing something entrepreneurial or innovative or creative, and you may have more. You may have a copyright and a patent. You may have a patent and a trademark. You may have all three. You may have a trade secret. You can have a bundle of rights. So what you want to do, not just one thing. You know, the patent lasts for a specific time period, and Pierre can chime in for me as to what that time period is. Trademarks have the possibility to last forever. Let me give you an example. Think about medication, Tylenol. Remember when we used to go to at one point in time, Tylenol, there was you had to get it behind from the pharmacist. But now the trademark part, that patent has been done and gone a long time. It expired a long time ago. The patent gave you the exclusive right to basically market that patent, that formula. But the trademark can live on forever. Okay, so think about what it is that you're doing and what are the different aspects or facets that you want to protect and how you can protect it. So if you're
So I
thinking
can quickly explain to you. I have already 3 books. The 3 books is Greenlight, and the second one is the yellow light, and the third one is red light. Then I decided to do a whole leadership framework that is called, it's a leadership framework that I'll teach. But this is now a new book that has encompassed all these different lights. And it depends, it's similar to the traffic light series, but you're training individuals on what to do when you get to a light. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm saying, oh my God, I need to protect this because I have a lot of persons who are taking my stuff and using it. You put something out and you see them write a whole thing about it, and know it's me. So that's when I started thinking, okay, what do I do? So I have 3 books already, and now this one, I have other books too, but this is a series. 3 is a series, but this one that really now takes into account leadership and the development of people. That's where I had the conversation in my head. Okay, now maybe I need to protect this.
So you could think of a couple different things. You could think of the series, a name for the series. One of the books is the red light, one book is green light, one book is yellow light, another book is amber light, another book. But the series, you could trademark the series.
So the series on
Amazon
Amazon is called the Green Light
using it.
series. Actually, on Amazon, it's already called the Green Light series.
But it needs it in order to be a series. It has to have be more than one book. Okay. Now the other thing you can think about, you talked about a framework that you are teaching. Teaching is a service. You can get a trademark, or better yet, a service mark for the service of delivering teaching services on the content of the book. Lecturing, that's another one. Those are different services that you could. So again, more than one thing, but the actual content of the books, that is going to be more in the copyright purview, which I am not an expert on.
Well, no. I know the copyright side. I'm just thinking about the trademark. So the trademark is all 3 together, and then this one is the 4th one that falls into that series. So that's where the trademark would come in.
Correct. Just think of like John Grisham novels.
Yes, of course.
Every time he comes out with a novel, it's like, oh, the next John Grisham book, or the next book in the such and such series, the Harry Potter series, the so and so series. That's the trademark. That's the branding of the series. And so that way you can add on more and more books. It doesn't have to just be 3 books.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shelley. Our next question is from Eileen Wu. And the question is, since the processing time may take months to complete, should I file before rolling out my product? When is the best time to start filing?
I'm going to give you a very attorney answer. It depends. It depends. It depends on what it is that you have the flexibility with trademarks. You can file the mark when you've already started using it, or you can file it with an intent to use the mark. It's called a bona fide intent to use the marks. So 2 different ways. You can file the application saying, hey, this is my trademark. I'm using it in commerce. Here's an example. Here's the drawing of it. Here's what it looks like. And then here's an example of it. Here's the label, picture of the label or the advertising. Or you can say, I have a bona fide intent to start using this mark. You'd still have to give a drawing of it. But then you file the application. Either way you file the application, it still has to be examined by the examining attorney. It still has to go through that processing. And but if you file it with the bona fide intent, it's a place marker for you. Eventually, you will have to provide a specimen, an example of how you are actually using the mark in commerce. But either way, it just really depends on what is going to work for you as part of your strategy right now as an entrepreneur.
She has a follow-up question, and I think you may have answered it. It's, will I get notified by USPTO if someone tried to file something very similar to my registered trademark?
No, that's not our job. You have to police. It's like you have to kind of police or monitor the system. What we do is this: when you file the application, we always look at, based on this application that's filed with us, are there any in front that have been pending or that have been registered that this one would conflict with, it would cause confusion? If it does, then our responsibility is to refuse that current application. Now, after yours, let's say you file and you don't conflict with anyone that's already filed before you or registered. If someone comes after you and their mark, they filed and their mark could be a conflict, we will refuse their application. We don't necessarily let you know, hey, this mark came. But our job is, if there could be a conflict, we then would refuse that application. Think back to Legrand's example. He had a mark that had a palm tree in it, and it had some wording. It was we call that a composite mark, wording plus design. The office did not think that there was going to be a conflict, because Tommy Bahama had already filed and registered their trademark many years ago. But Tommy Bahama decided that they wanted to come for Legrand. Okay? But the USPTO did not believe when he filed his trademark application that his trademark application conflicted with that mark. And but there are different ways that people can deal with the potential of infringement. One is entity to entity through the court system. Another one, sometimes they just do cease and desist letters. You might get a letter that says, hey, we think that you are infringing on my mark, so you need to stop using it. And then you have to decide what it is that you want to do. But when you file with the USPTO, our responsibility is to make sure that this application, when we examine it, in order for it to register, it cannot be confusingly similar to another one that's previously been filed or registered.
Thank you. So the next question is, how can I protect my idea with AI now?
Wow. That's not a trademark question. I'm still learning about AI myself. I can't begin to speak on that. When you say, are you saying use AI to protect it or protect it from AI? Because those are different questions and different strategies. What I can speak to is, there is a system out there for to register your trademark, and here's how you can use it. Are people trying to use AI to come up with marks? Yeah, sure. But even if you use AI to come up with a logo, a mark or and you file it with the USPTO, it's still going through the same process as if you had drawn the logo yourself or came up with the words yourself. So the processing is going to be the same. Now, in terms of protecting yourself from AI trying to gobble up your content, that's a big topic that a lot of people are struggling with right now. I'm not in a position to be able to really give a lot of thoughts on that, because it's going to depend on each individual case, and in terms of what type of idea you have, and what it is that you're trying to do, and what someone might be trying, how they might try to protect or infringe.
So Fabi, we take one more question.
Yes, we have another question. And the question is, I filed a trademark with the USPTO and understand it takes several months for the trademark to be approved. Should I wait for approval before consulting a patent attorney, or is it better to speak to one now?
First of all, don't consult a patent attorney. Pierre, I wanted you to smile on that one. Okay, here's the thing. If you filed your trademark with the USPTO, it's right about now, it's taking about 5 months from the time that you file for it to come to an examining attorney. So if you haven't heard anything from the office, you might not need an attorney. If you are worried, maybe there's something you heard today or something you read when you go to the website and you think, oh, maybe I missed something, and you want to contact an attorney, then you should contact an attorney. But if you haven't heard anything from an attorney,
Not
if
to
you haven't heard,
interrupt you, not to interrupt
yeah.
you. The
Mhm.
person added a follow-up stating that I did not include my logo when I filed my trademark application. Could it become an issue upon approval?
You didn't submit. Okay. I guess I'm not quite understanding what the question is. If you did not submit, there's the drawing of the mark, which is a representation of the mark, and then there's the specimen of use. Those are two different things. If you, in order to get a filing date, if you received an application number, then you submitted a drawing of your mark. This is what my mark looks like. But if you need to submit a specimen, then because you will have to have a specimen of use on record to be able to register. If you're unsure about what that is, then I would encourage you to first go to the USPTO website, www.uspto.gov.
And what should I look for?
You can go to the trademark section.
Okay.
And just type in specimen of use. And there will specimen.
Right.
Of use. And there will be sections on the website that will give you examples of what is a good specimen. Now, there is also a manual. It's called the Trademark Manual of Examining Procedure, TMEP. If you go to the website and type in TMEP, it will bring you to the manual. And this manual is what all the examining attorneys use as their guide on how to examine marks. It's available to the public and to attorneys and non-attorneys alike. But if you go to that manual and you type in specimen, it will give you even the law, it will give you examples, it will give you a lot more definitions on what are good examples of good specimens.
Okay. I believe I did. I'm not sure, but I believe I used the business name, the trademark. I used the business. I'm not sure. I can go back and check.
Okay.
But
just remember the type of specimen. If it's for products,
right,
should be a label or some like a picture of the label. Or I think Legrand mentioned that he has like he sewed it into his the sleeve or the label in the tag, or something on the actual, or it could be if it's on the product itself. Okay. The packaging for the product, if you can send a picture of that showing the label or the tag on the product, that is an example. Don't send in the actual label, just a picture of it. That would be a good type of a specimen. If it's for services, like Shelley was mentioning her training services, then if you have a business card or any kind of advertising, that would be a good type of specimen, or a website showing the mark and mentioning the services.
I did that.
Have both of that. That would be a good specimen for services.
Okay. My next question is, can I edit? Can I go back into the profile that I created and update?
You cannot change your mark if it changes your mark. You can make minor changes to a mark. So for example, let's say you had a mark in color, and it was lime green, but you want it to be dark green. You can submit a new drawing that shows a slight change. But once you filed your mark, you are tied to that mark for that application. If you need to change it, you need to refile.
Okay. I need to
Okay.
double check on that.
Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you to all our panelists, Helen, LeGun, and Wolves. Unfortunately, our fourth panelist could not make it tonight because of an emergency. I think Ted Poivre was the fourth panelist. There was a question that Helen pointed out to me. I want to answer that. Patent is 20 years from the time you file, and after 20 years, it's free to the public so they can use it because technology advances so quick, so we don't want to have someone have a patent forever. So that was something I wanted to answer. So thank you all for attending, and hopefully that was a very beneficial presentation to all of you. If you need more information, you have questions, again, the USPTO trademark website has a lot of information, and don't if you know me, don't hesitate to reach out. I try to get answers to some stuff because I got access to Ellen whenever I need.
He knows how to get me.
Yes, we see each other a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all for tonight. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Anthony Johnson.
Thank
Thank you, thank you, Legrand. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.